Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone. And I'm really excited to have any of you that haven't met my friend Aage Nost yet before. I'm really excited to have you meet him and learn from him. He's just a wealth of knowledge. Augie is like a Renaissance man. He has so many attributes that it's going to be hard to talk about all of them. But today we are going to talk about this book and maybe refer a little bit to this book too, because Augie has made understanding of the alchemic process of our world. He's made it a lot more available to us and usable to us. And that's what we need right now, because our world's changing and we want to go with the flow of it, ride the wave rather than get smashed by the wave. So Augie, thank you so much for being my guest today. I love your work and I am so honored.
Well, thank you. And life is good. I got coffee.
Well, so Augie, why don't you give us a little bit, because not everybody in the audience may know about you yet. Why don't you give us a little bit of insight into how you got interested in all of this work? Because this is a lot of this work reminds me of Ernest Holmes and Florence Scovel Shinn and some of the 1920s, the metaphysical writers of that time, but yours is more usable somehow. It's not all faith-based. It's actually intelligent. So
Yeah,
can you talk a little bit about how you got interested and started?
Well, there is some faith in it too, but mostly mind-based. And how this book came about, I guess I've been very lucky. I've been able to associate with some extremely successful people, and I'm on, well, at least I was on first name with 3 billionaires. One of them, I can't find him anymore. He's in Hong Kong, and chances are he disappeared. Who knows? But I have learned a lot from these people, and a lot of that is in here. And there is principles that they are working by that makes things work. If you work by principles, the details will take care of themselves. They will come and they will fill in the principle. I got a question for people out there listening. And you may have heard me ask this question before, and that is plain and simple. What would you start tomorrow morning if you knew you could not fail?
Yep.
And I paused on purpose right there because I want you to think. This is such an immensely important question, because if you haven't thought about it before, you really need to, because that is what billionaires do. They work on the principle that the best way to know the future is to create it. How do we create that? You create it in the mind first, and then you go do, or have other people help you do your mind creation. And see, the thing is that if you are in business, or want to be in business, or just plain want to have a successful family, you got to step out of the crowd, because the crowd is not in business. They don't care to have their own business, and most of them don't even have a successful family. You need some new friends. I hate to say this, but what I have put into this book, and what I'm going to be talking to about here for the next 50 minutes, I have put together 34 points that billionaires do, successful people do, that don't necessarily, it doesn't take money. It's something that you at home can start doing, and you're going to find that start doing those principles, and your life will never be the same. And you will understand, because I'm going to make it so simple. And there is hundreds of books out there that tell you how to become a millionaire, mostly in real estate and stuff like that. But I think there's only two that I know of that teaches you how to get in the mind of a billionaire. And I mean the successful billionaire, because there are some unsuccessful ones. If somebody get handed and because of some, let's say their dad died or something, and they get handed an asset of, let's say, $5 billion, over the next 5 years, they got it whittled down to next to nothing. Though they're still billionaires, but they're not successful billionaires. So there is one, and that is this one here. I get into the details to get in their mind and how you can do this. And the other one is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It was written back in the 1930s, 90 years ago, and is still as relevant today as it was back then. And these successful people, it seems like sometimes they create miracles out of seemingly nothing. But how do they do that? Well, they do not think like the masses do. They do not do like the masses do. They do not associate like the masses do. They do not get together on Friday night and play poker and drink themselves silly. No, they associate different, they think different, and they do different than what the masses do. I have a saying, actually, and I wrote it down to make sure I get it right, because I haven't said this one for a while. If you think like the masses do, you're going to be like the masses are. If you do like the masses do, you're going to have what the masses have. And make really sure that that is what you do. That is what you want if you do like the masses do. Start seeking out people that think different, that think like successful people. If your brother-in-law has not done anything of excellence any time in his life and is totally negative, and don't associate with him. I'm kind of joking here because I know your brother-in-law is a pretty good guy. But that's the principle. And think of it. If a multi-billionaire is losing $1 million a day, he's still a billionaire, but is he successful? No, he's not. And see, success, that's an elusive animal. And it all starts in the mind. You got to retrain your mind to get rid of negative thinking. And you can do that in many different ways. You can just keep exposing yourself to success principles all the time. Maybe just like I do. I put stickers around the computer, and sitting at the computer, I see them all the time. And I do things in front of the computer, like a 3-minute meditation to shut the mind down, get rid of all the unwanted thoughts or the wanted thoughts. The mind is still, that opens up the channel to the universal mind. And you're getting communication about what to do when you ask. Sometimes all we have to do is to ask and we get answers. So these success principles are constant. You can rely on them. Work the details that come to you within working the principles. And I'm going to go through some of these 34 principles because I know we got a time restraint. There is one thing that the super successful people have learned, and that is that there's 2 things that go to the bank. One of them is money, and the other one is goodwill. And they have equal value at different times. Think on that. Mm-hmm. If you do let's say you're trying to do a business deal, buy a house or anything. If you find out that, gosh, economically, it does not work for me to do this, explain it to the guy you're trying to do the business deal. Sorry, I just can't do it. It's going to go bad for me if I try to do this. But if you have another situation, I'm really interested in working with you because I like you. Create a goodwill within the mind of the other one. He may bring you something different later. Don't just drop him. Explain. Yeah. Communication is gold.
So
another thing that is very important, remember, there is no such thing as a self-made man or self-made woman. We all need people to help us go where we're going. Another thing that they do is they create a mastermind. And that is based on the principle that when 2 or more minds are united in harmony, they create a third mind. That third mind has the potential mind power of the 2 or more of them multiplied by each other. That is what Nori, Love, and I do on Sundays. We have a mastermind where we got a bunch of people in there and we create things out of seemingly nothing sometimes. And some of you, if you're interested in having a look at it and see if this is something that you want to be part of, send us an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. And I'll send you some information and you can get a link and come and hang out and see what we're doing. We're making things work. And this mastermind group that people can create could be just a husband and a wife, 2 people. Remember, when 2 or more minds are united in harmony, they create a third mind with the potential mind power of the 2 or more of them multiplied by each other. So 2 people, 2 times 2 is 4. Now you get the mind power of 4 people. If 1,000 1,000 people get together, let's say a church group, and put their mind together, create something that they want for all of them in vivid, colorful images with intention and feeling and emotion, and place that in the future and just think on it every day, you're going to get drawn up that timeline to that thing and you will be successful. So this is something that a family should always have, a mastermind session. If they get together for dinner, prayers sometimes are done, but prayers usually don't work because you don't do it right. You don't use the spiritual language. And I'll talk about that in a second.
Good.
They create also just I'm going to take about 35 seconds and tell you a little story.
Good.
This is something that we did in a mastermind, create things out of seemingly nothing. About 5 months ago, there was fires in Northern California all over the place. And a lady called me and she says, I'm going to have to go into town because I'm afraid my house is going to burn. And she said, is there anything we can do with the masterminds? I said, well, let's try it. We got together, we wrapped our mastermind around her house, and Northern California. And we wanted rain. So we visualized ourselves standing in the rain. The rain is howling rain coming down. The hair is wet and the clothes is wet, and my boots were filling up with water. And when we started out, there were a few clouds in the sky. There was, not that much. But an hour and a half later, she called me after we were done. She called me and she said, it's raining. Wow. It got dark and the rain started an hour and a half later. That is what you can create out of seemingly nothing. Her house was saved. And she sent me a quick video actually afterwards of herself standing in the rain. I could see the rain coming down. Her hair was wet and she was all wet. If you want to be part of something like this, just come and check it out. Now, also, the super successful people create an inner circle for advice and association. This inner circle, it could be just a family, but it should be people that you absolutely trust to give you their opinions and research and knowledge about what they see will work in certain situations. You're totally convinced they will not lie to you and just kind of sit there and do nothing. And that is one thing that inner circle is also for association. Those are the people that you want to associate with, in addition to people on the outside that later on could become part of the inner circle. But the outside people, they are people that you look up to. They have superior knowledge. They have more success than you do. Associate with them as much as possible because they think different, they talk different, they do different, they are different. So hang around people that is more successful than you do. And those are the ones you want to learn from. But try also to make it in a genre that in the same area where you are. If you're in real estate, associate with other successful people in real estate, because ever so often they will say something that turns into a pearl for you and you learn from it.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have been doing this where I connected at the beginning of the year with 5 different marketing companies like mine, and only one of them understood the value of connecting. The others all thought you're my competitor. So if there isn't an association, so I was offering to have people on my show. There are authors on my show, and then ask for my authors on their show. Just connection and help each other. And only 1 out of 5 agreed. The other ones, they just didn't get it. Do you have any recommendation for that?
Well, the other 4, you don't need them.
Apparently not. I guess I'm being guided. That's the
Right.
way I looked at it, is that everything works out perfectly somehow, and I don't know.
Yeah, but still, those other 4, if you know they're good people, successful, and they're honest, give them another chance.
Yeah. Yeah, they are honest, but I think they thought that I would that I was, because I wasn't trying to take their customers. I was trying to offer, to enhance, because I don't charge for this. So it was an opportunity for them. It was a win-win, I thought, but it was so fascinating. It did help me refine how I explained it. The
Yeah.
person that got it. I didn't
Yeah.
have to explain it in depth, but I did think, from reading your stuff, I really thought, hey, let's just put a group of us together and help each other. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why one of the reasons why it is so hard to do business in Japan,
Oh,
because they don't do business with you unless they know you. And that means if you're going to do a business meeting on a Thursday, they want you there on Wednesday morning so they can spend the day with you. They can talk with you. They have lunch, they have dinner with you. And if they don't like how you talk and conduct yourself, there's no business deal.
wow, that's good. Well, that's actually smart. It's smart.
Yeah.
I mean, any business deal, any thing is a relationship. And
Yes,
if
it is.
people don't honor relationships and don't show up and try to create win-win, authentic relationships, it's a very short experience, because you can't connect on values or anything without that.
Absolutely. Another thing that super successful people do is that they stay away from negative people like the plague. That includes family.
Yep.
That's a tough one. You remember that brother-in-law? Yeah, he keeps showing up, but you don't have to hang around him and learn from him. It's just love him from a distance.
Right, right, right. Well, plus, Augie, I think that everything shows up in your field as a gift. So when he shows up negative, there's something good about what he's saying for you to look at.
Yeah,
Even though it's obnoxious, or it might feel like a waste of time, but somehow it wouldn't be in your movie without some help to you, right?
yeah. It shows up because somewhere in your mental fabric, there was a need for it or a purpose for it.
Yep. Okay, so I have a quick question, and then I'm going to let you go back to your list. Is that okay? Another quick question
Yeah.
about mental versus heart.
Mental versus what?
Versus your heart. So much of everything that is being used in our world today talks about the journey from here to here, and so much of your work really is, at least a lot of it's here, it incorporates this, but it isn't about heart as much. It's about clarity and focus. It's about clear mind.
Yeah.
So anyway,
You
we can talk
remember?
about that later if that's interrupting your flow, but
Yeah, absolutely. And You remember 2,000 years ago, the word mind and heart was the same word.
Oh, really?
They didn't have two different words for it. So there's something to that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it feels good right now. You just said that.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So I'll let you go back. Sorry.
Okay.
Thanks.
Now, here's got another thing, and that is that super successful people, they always do mind development courses. And their mind development course could be a simple thing like spending a day with somebody that is immensely more successful than they do, and listen and listen and listen. Because we got two ears and one mouth, we should use them accordingly. I when I am Even when I'm doing a radio show or a video show, if I have somebody on that I really want to hear what they say, I let them talk. Nori does the same thing. We let them talk because the listeners want to hear them. They don't want to hear necessarily our questions that they may not be interested in. They came there for the guest. So we need to listen more than what we speak. And they always read something positive before they go to sleep, because the last thing that goes into your mind before you go to sleep should be something positive. Or you can program the mind to work on something while you sleep. Let's say you got a real challenge on your hand and you go to sleep and you keep saying over and over again as you fall asleep, in the morning I will have the answer to such and such. Keep saying that over and over again. That is an order to the subconscious mind and the universal mind to go to work and solve the problem for you. Now, you may not find the answer in the morning, but later in the day, you may get a brilliant idea that'll lead you to the answer. 3 days later, you may get that brilliant idea that'll lead you to the answer. It will come. So remember that just before you go to sleep, don't just do nothing. Program the mind to go to work for you and do something while you sleep, because it never sleeps anyway. The super successful people, they also welcome challenges because they know that in the challenges there are opportunities. You may not like the challenge, but look beyond it. What's on the other side of it if you succeed? That's where your focus need to be. And when you look at that result, what's in the challenge will solve itself somehow. You will find a way to get around it, over it, under it, or through it. You want the result of the opportunity on the other side. They're also kind, fair, and honest with people that depend on them, so their reputation will stay about 3 miles ahead of them. They know, everybody knows, he's a good guy, he's a good girl, she's a good girl. And this is something that draws good people to you. In those good people that is drawn to you, there is good association, a lifting of conscious vibration, and opportunities. They always also spend time in meditation and quiet contemplation. You may start out as transcendental meditation, and that's how I started out. And what I was taught, that they said, sit down, think of nothing, and whatever happens is good. Okay, yeah, it's good. But I found out later that I can lead the universe in the direction that I wanted to go for a specific purpose while meditating. So I program before I go into meditation, I ask a question or I intend for something to happen, and then I go into meditation, and then the brain which I was talking to engages the mind, subconscious mind, superconscious mind, and the universal mind, and it finds the answer, or it helps to solve challenges, or just help me raise my own vibration to a higher and more spiritual capacity. Another thing is that super successful people, they always love what they do. I've been lucky. Except for, there's been times in there I did things that I really didn't care to, but I've been pretty much doing what I love to do, and I still do. And you remember the saying, find something you love to do and you will never work a day in your life. That is alive and well. That's how it works.
Yes.
And they have a very strong belief in the power of the mind. And for religious people, that can equate to very strong belief in God. Remember in that book that was written 1692 years ago, it says, with God, all things are possible. So it works the same way because it is the same thing. Belief is very powerful. And there's a big difference between the mind and the brain. And when we associate with successful people, that doesn't mean that it has to be done in person. We can do that by reading their books, watching their videos, reading their speeches, talking about them. If you read a book and then you talk about what's in their book, in a way you are associating with them. And it helps to raise your vibration to a higher level of consciousness. They also know that you don't have to know everything to start something. Once you start something, you can figure out how to do it later. And that's scary. But don't be afraid of starting something knowing you will figure it out how to accomplish it later. So they also have a strong and colorful emotional dream that they want to accomplish. And that dream has real pearls in it because, first of all, it's got vivid, colorful images with it. A lot of detail. I said a lot of details. That is not necessarily true. But if you put details in it, as well as having the complete picture at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, it's better. You can also just have a total visual image of the final result, because then the details to get there will fall into place. And feel the emotion of having accomplished it. They know they will accomplish it. Have the emotion with it. And the intention. Keep telling yourself, nothing will stop me. I will be there. I will do that. It will be accomplished. Actually, stay away from the word not. It's a negative word that kind of erases everything before that. But vivid, colorful images, an emotion with it, and intention, and knowing it is already completed because you did it in your mind. You placed it into the universal mind. It is there as intention and a potential for creation in the physical. So you draw it back in and it's created. Sit down and brainstorm whatever you want. Sit down and brainstorm this challenge or whatever it is with the mastermind and talk to your inner circle about it. That inner circle should be people that have the same dream as you do. There may be different variances to it, but have the same dream as you do. And there's also easier to solve small individual sections of a large challenge. Don't eat the whole elephant. Just start with a small thing in the beginning and then just take different parts, and eventually you will have solved the whole thing. And these individual parts have individual challenges with it, which you should discuss with your inner circle and the mastermind that you've created. You will never find a super successful person to be realistic. Think of it. The word realistic comes from the word realize. Break up the word. What is it? Real lies.
Wow.
I love that one. Because realistic is what the society wants you to be, so you can stay average and they can control you. You do not control a billionaire. They have ideas of their own and they know the principles to put things into place. And for someone that have no money at all to speak of to do extra things, start visualizing something that you want more than anything else. See it accomplished already. Feel it in your heart. Know it is done. Have intention with it, so go out and do whatever you can to help it become real. Create it in your mind with vivid, colorful images. And that emotion is extremely important. Now, the universe will get in the game with you. It will attract people. Now, you have the idea, but you don't have any money. People will show up in your life with the money. So the two of you together can do it and accomplish it. Money will show up somehow. It could be anything from winning the lottery to having a partner in business that has business knowledge and money, and you have the idea. That's what happened to me when we started in 1975. We started a flight school. I know I wanted something of my own and a business, but I came to the United States with money and I spent it all on flight training and I didn't have anything. But a contractor showed up and he said, let's start a flight school. I had the aviation knowledge. He had the money and the business knowledge, and it was an excellent partnership. We overlapped really good. That can happen to you. But have that vision, that dream, that is very important. And remember also, we had no business plan when we started, because business plans are only for people that borrow money. People with a vision and a dream, they don't need a business plan. They need a focus on a completed product that they want. I hate to say this to people that has business plans, but business plans will hold you back. I know it doesn't make sense. You talk to any business teacher and they're going to tell me that I'm full of something I can't say on TV. But they think out of the box, and they're often totally unpredictable because they are leaders and they're visionaries. The visionary create a vision of the completed product. They also keep a voice recording. I have one right here. I carry it with me pretty much all the time. And whenever I'm out somewhere and I get a brilliant idea, I grab this thing, I push the button, and I speak the brilliant idea in here and put it in my pocket, and I go home. And at the end of the day, or whenever I feel like it, I run the recording and I say, oh, that's right. That was a pretty good idea. Let's see what I can do with that. This one has saved me a lot of headache. And it's old too. It's 25 years old, 20 years old, I think. It's made by Olympic. That's the best electronic company out there. And here's something that we should remember, because know that once you start stepping out of the box, people are watching you 24 hours a day. I don't care if you sleep and they're still thinking about you. Because watch your thoughts, because they become your words. Watch your words, because they become your actions. Watch your actions, because those becomes your habits. Watch your habits, because they become your character. Watch your character, because that holds your destiny. Think on that. Run this recording back and listen to that again. And start in the beginning of it. And also, super successful people do whatever they can to stay healthy. They often do the wrong thing and with pharmaceuticals and stuff, but they do what they can. They don't just necessarily go out and do a lot of things they know is harmful to them. That's hard to do in a society like this. All you have to do is to go to the the grocery store, and buy food, and you buy things that is not good for you. And they know that the success of the next day starts the night before. If you have a meeting or something you got to do the next day, when you sit down before you go to sleep, and I do this sitting up because otherwise I fall asleep, I think through what I'm going to do the next day. I think it through in a successful way so I can envision the successful outcome. I visualize in my mind what I'm going to say. I visualize in my mind what the other party is going to say. And at the end of it, I do something similar as see us both raising up, giving each other a high five, or shaking hands and say, let's do this. I visualize the total successful outcome the night before. That is very important, because now the next day, when you are going to go do this, you've already done it. You know how it's going to come out. You can lead the conversation into a successful conclusion. They also reflect on the day they had before with gratitude, appreciation, and give thanks for it. Even if you loused up yesterday, give thanks for it because you had a learning experience in it. Remember Edison? The rumor is that he did 3,000 experiments to create the light bulb, which really isn't true because he stole it from Tesla, but still, there's a good concept in it. When you come home, disconnect from work. Spend your time with your family, because that is important. Your family should be your mastermind and your association, and you should show them that you spend quality time with them, not quantity, but quality time. That is very important, because if you do not spend time with your family, if you do like I did, you work around the clock for years and years, you're going to lose either your family or you're going to burn out. I did both. I screwed it up. So don't do that. Spend quality time with family. That is very important. And let's see here. I remember that Ronald Reagan said one time that if you can't do your work in 8 hours, you're doing it wrong. I know I don't do that. But then again, I'm pretty much by myself, and I just, I really enjoy what I'm doing. So I'm not really working. I'm playing. I'm having fun. If it gets to the point where I'm not having fun anymore, then I'm going to start limiting my time. And I know starting out a business, special projects, they need a little more than 8 hours sometimes, especially in the beginning, to get it going. That's what entrepreneurs do. And plan the evening and get enough sleep. Most people will need 8 hours of sleep, and you really should have that, because it cleans out the brain of the residue and the pollutants that collected during the day. They watch videos and they associate with successful people, read their speeches, and they do that every day. And spend the time visualizing successful outcomes of whatever you do. Even a simple thing. I have this ritual when I get in the car going somewhere. I go through something in my mind. I tell the universe, I am safe, I am free, I am perfectly, I do different things, but I am perfectly safe, I am perfectly free, and I thank you. That's usually the one I say. That tells the universe that, okay, he's safe, he's free, and he's going to be all right. So I don't have accidents. I don't remember. Oh, yeah, way back, decades ago, I had a car accident. But otherwise, I'm fine. And let's see. I'm going through the points here. When you are negotiating something, don't take no for an answer. Give the other party 3 chances. If there's something you want in a negotiation and they say you can't do it, go at it from a different angle. If they say no again, that's okay. Go at it from a different angle. The third time they say no, chances are that it's not going to happen. But never take no for an answer the first time or the second time. And salespeople know this. You got to develop a relationship first. Many of the super successful people that know that when you work by success principles, all the other things will fall into place. And there is, you go to YouTube and look at Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden, and people like that. That will help you keep your mind and your body in perfect condition. And go to Broadcast Team Alpha and scroll down into the videos. There's two sections there. One of them is the shows and then the videos. I got a bunch of videos in there. Nori's got a bunch of videos in there where we talk about what really works, how to keep yourself healthy, how to keep yourself successful. Gosh, I've been talking quite a bit here, Kathy. How are we doing? Up, you're muted, I think.
We're doing great. And I just didn't want to say anything after you said we had 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yeah. Oh,
Right after that, I was like, oh, I better be quiet. Well,
yeah.
I love what you're saying, and I think it's very
Yeah.
it's discipline. What we're
Yeah.
talking about is like because there's people online with us right now. There's someone who's very disciplined with martial arts, and I mean we're human. Well, I don't know about all humans, but a lot of Americans don't have that kind of discipline training. And what you're talking about here and in here is discipline. Really,
Yeah.
it's choosing and then making a commitment to yourself to do it.
Yeah, I tell you, martial arts is something that should be taught in grade school because the physical part of it is okay. It'll help you, to defend yourself and so on. But the mind training that goes along with it. And there is one of them that is probably better at that than most of the other ones. I almost said all the other ones, but I don't know about all the other ones. And that is the arts of the ninja. Because they get in, the ninja means the art of invisibility. There are stories of people, masters usually in the Far East. They can do amazing things that totally defies the laws of physics.
Yep.
So martial arts, if you're a young kid, if you have children, get them introduced to it. And buy some books on the arts of the ninja, because the mind training that goes with it is phenomenal, and practice. And another thing too that you could do, and that is, I've been very lucky in the past, about 27 years or so ago, I traveled around the country and I taught a mind development program called Zox Pro.
Yeah, I want to know a lot about that. I think everybody would love to know about that. Do you want to?
Yeah, we were teaching people how to assimilate information out of a book at the rate of 50 to 100,000 words a minute with 95% retention. And speed reading get to 5,000, and that's about it. And regular reading, you can have 300 words a minute probably. But this is totally different, because you turn pages, 2 pages a second, and you don't, actually what you're doing, you're staring into the crease of the book, and you are allowing the subconscious mind to take a mental picture of the 2 pages. You totally bypass the conscious mind, and it goes directly into long-term memory. And then later on, when you're done with the book, turning it 2 pages, and you sit down and look at the front page, and you tell yourself, I will have perfect recall of everything I have seen and experienced in this book at any time I need it or want it. Now you're giving an order again to the subconscious mind to lay on top of what you just saw. Now, you don't remember a thing of what you did until you start asking questions, triggers. It's just like any other memory. And you don't remember everything you have done or read in your life all the time in your conscious memory, but you think back and say, okay, what did I do on such and such day? How did that work? How did this work? Then the long term memory will come up into conscious understanding. And this is somewhat similar.
Yes.
So this is what I did, and it was very, I mean, it was phenomenal. Of course, I haven't practiced for a while now, so I'm really rusty at it, but it still benefits.
Well, do you hold on to the books after you've read them, or do
Oh
you?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, because I'm a bookaholic. I have
Uh,
lots of books at my house.
yeah, I got a lot of books here, but I think I've probably read most of the books here. There's a few that snuck by me lately, actually.
Well, okay, so I wanted to ask about we've got about 5 more minutes. I wanted to ask about consciousness because in this book you have first you start out talking about the brain and
Yeah.
about the functionality of it, and then you have I'm on page for anyone who gets the book, and I recommend both of these books, really, guys. This one, but I am talking about this one right now. On page 35, it starts. So, what is consciousness? And that
Mhm.
the brain's only part of it. Could you give us a little bit of, because I get the question all the time of conscious business zone.
Yeah, science have a hard time with consciousness. They are finally coming around to saying that yes, there appears as there is a non-local consciousness, and it's going to be well established shortly that yes, there is a field, and we are part of that field, and that field is the non-local consciousness, and everything we have thought, done, and experienced is in the field as well as in the brain.
So, is it in the brain?
Is it what?
Is it really in the brain, or is the brain just an antenna to it?
Well, there is there is physical evidence for the fact that memories are laid along the neurons. So yeah, it is in the brain too, but it also is in the field because the neurons in the brain is in the field as an integral part of the holographic creation.
Okay. Because it seems as though these energies that we're experiencing now, if people are sensitive like I am, they're they're really clearing out a path to a bigger perspective.
Yeah.
And so, how does that all fit with this these principles? Does it make the principles and the access to manifestation faster?
Yeah, probably would, and also easier to understand because globally here, consciousness is rising right now. It becomes easier for people to understand that, maybe there is more to it than just the brain. Do go back 20 years and you talk to somebody on the street about the non-local mind, and their eyes will glaze over on you and they start talking about the weather.
Well, I still I'm very excited about these times. There's so many opportunities with our capacity to use. I'm in a looking at AI in a positive way, for us to use AI as a tool to give us more time to work on the other tasks that are really important for our society and for our evolution of our species. And where this past maybe 200 years where we've all been factory educated, that all of that did not give us a lot of creative interaction or creative solution and problem solving. So I'm looking at this new opportunity to use technology to possibly do change frequencies and possibly make it easier to live on planet Earth, actually, because the planet's ascending. The frequency of the planet, by it being in this photon field, is changing, and we get to change too.
Yeah. And here towards the end, I want to ask that question again. What would you start tomorrow morning if you knew you could not fail? And then wait 24 hours before you come up with a solid answer, because I guarantee you don't know how to think big enough.
Perfect. And we want you to think big enough, because this is why we came here. This is the opportunity to create the new Earth and to have a whole different loving experience.
Yep.
This is the time. So thank you so much, Augie. Thank you. I always love talking with you, and bless you for this work. It's so usable. It's really, really usable. And I mean, I want to be a millionaire, but I'm not sure. I hadn't really thought about being a billionaire. But my ideas are out there far enough that I
work at every level of business, every level of life, every level of society. You can be flat broke and start working on these principles, and things can change. So
yes, yeah,
it works at every level.
Yeah, we're creating it all. So Augie, is the best way to reach you? But I did put your email.
Good way to reach. Yeah, you can reach me at one of the easiest one is my name, Aage Nost at gmail.com.
Oh.
And go to Broadcast Team Alpha on YouTube and watch our shows on Tuesday evenings and whenever we put up videos, as well as broadcastteamalpha.com. Nori and I have a website, and we have 5,000 unbelievable pictures of things in there that should not exist, but it does. So
yeah, this is exciting. Very exciting. Thank you so much, Augie, again. And hopefully everyone will go to Broadcast Team Alpha. I've been putting it in the comments, and I'll make sure it's everywhere where people can find you, and find you on Facebook here. And thank you so much. Bless the work that you're doing. Thank you for sharing your alchemy with us.
Well, thank you for having me on. It was fun.
Yeah. Okay, well, sorry, we have to go. We'll have to do this again with the other book, okay? Thank you.